So this is the first example. You've got an extra queen. You must have promoted a pawn, and we're off to checkmate the king. I think the first thing we'll learn is that just checking, although it feels mighty and important, it isn't always that important unless it's part of a plan, part of what you know you're trying to do. If you just check the king, and then the king moves, and then you check the king again, and then the king moves, and you check the king again, and that's going to go nowhere. So we need some sort of plan. What we're going to do is we're going to reduce the amount of space that the king has got, and push it towards the edge maybe, and then checkmate it. So the first move we're going to make is let's try and make a cage for the king. So the whole board's a lot to cope with. Let's make a cage. So we make a cage for the king by moving it near the king, or up to the line of the king, but don't check it, so just stop short. And now we can see those two green lines make a cage for the king, two fences that it can't get past. And so black to move, black moves. And now we can move the other queen in, and don't mind giving a check this time. Check, and the king moves again. And from this position we've got lots of different ways of checkmating, but I'll show you one that works really well. We'll check with the queen on the next row, the king has to go back, and then we'll checkmate on the last row, and the queens protect each other and they keep the king away, and it's checkmate on the edge of the board, which is nice and easy. Let's have a look at some other things that might have happened. For example, if we played queen to c4, then check, and if the king this time comes forward to this square, we have another way of making the queens work together, which I think is really nice. Check, so the queen that's giving check is protected by the other queen. The king has to move to the edge of the board, and now checkmate at the edge. And so the queens moving in that sort of sequence are very mighty, and there's a nice checkmate. One last look at this. King comes forward. Oh, my apologies. The king comes forward to this square, and actually, with two queens, you don't even need to checkmate at the edge of the board. It's easier there, but actually, this is a checkmate in the middle of the board without the edge of the board taking away any of the squares for the king. So that's rather nice, and that's how to do it. Just before we leave, and because this is a nice quick one to show you, I'll just show you a couple of things about just how awesome the queens are, which are, I think is important. So if the king goes away to this square, we know how to checkmate in two moves by moving our queen down to here. So let's try a different square, perhaps here, and it'll show you some other patterns with the queens and show you how mighty the queens are. So we have, let's try king to f7, and now we can play checkmate in one move. You can stop the video and see if you can spot it if you like. It's on g6, so that's a nice little pattern to see. One queen covers the light squares, one queen covers the dark squares, and checkmate again in the middle of the board without the edge. And after the check here, if the king comes to the edge of the board, again there's checkmate in one move. Can you see it? This time it's queen to h2, and again we've got the two queens at the edge of the board. One checks on one rank or file, and the other queen stops the king coming forward. So have a practice with those. Make sure you can do it. The thing to look out for, which is always a pain. Well, let's try and in this sort of position. So we've made a check, and the king's gone to the edge of the board here. And if we're trying to cut down the king, or we might think we can deliver a checkmate if we put the queen here. Absolutely right. So if we move the queen, getting ready to checkmate, into this position, you can see that all of the squares that the king might move to are covered by one or other of the queens. So the king can't move, so it's a draw, stalemate we call it. And that's one of the dangers in trying to win a one game, is that you've got to worry about how many. In chess, you always need to worry about your opponent's moves, especially if they don't have any. So don't just do your plan blindly. Think about what your opponent's next move is, and if they don't have one, you need to worry. With two queens, usually you can make progress by giving a check, but that's not a good habit to get into in endgames. Anyhow, see how you get on. Come and challenge me or Mr.B.